Bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on the South Today, National Party leader Christopher Luxon was in town in Queenstown today talking tourism and working holidays. Invercargill's nurse Jenny visits her old school and says nurses here are undervalued. And Polytech nursing students ready to step in if COVID-19 overwhelms southern hospitals. Kia ora, good evening. I'm Phil Vaughan. Christopher Luxon made a visit to Queenstown today, talking tourism, working holidays and local issues. The National Party leader says the government needs to do much more to get businesses thriving again.
Taking in the sights and talking tourism on a crisp Queenstown day. Christopher Luxon taking credit for motivating the government into action around COVID restrictions to help support businesses and the tourism industry.
Well, look, I think we've pressured this government into sort of opening up and actually dealing and getting life back to normalcy as quickly as we can.
But the day wasn't just taking in the million-dollar views of the resort capital. Luxon and local MP Joseph Mooney also visiting the Queenstown Chamber of Commerce.
I'm keen to check in with Ruth at the chamber and really understand, what is happening and what needs to happen to get the economy up and running here again. Obviously, I'm a bit interested to find out where we are with working holiday visas in particular, because that's how we get the critical workforce back here.
The National Party's leader promoting changes around working holiday visas and believes New Zealand should be following Australia's example and widening the age range of people who can apply.
We should be able to extend the age from 30 to 35. We should say if you've done it before, we're happy for you to extend for a second time and maybe even up to a third time. So I think there's things that we could do to try and make New Zealand a really attractive destination.
The former head of Air New Zealand claims the Labour Party has been against tourism for many years, often giving the portfolio to lowly backbenchers. But he was coy when asked if he'd make himself tourism minister, following in the footsteps of former Prime Minister Sir John Key, should National win next year's election. In Queenstown, the South Today.
The Dunedin City Council has issued an ultimatum to anti-mandate protesters in the Octagon, telling them to leave by Monday or be trespassed. Mayor Aaron Hawkins says the City Council has met with police to discuss ways of ending the protest. The council's given the protesters a formal letter advising them of offences they're committing under the Reserves Act and council bylaws. The small group have been given an opportunity to pack up their makeshift campsite and leave the Octagon by Monday. If they decline to move on by the deadline, the council will work with police to trespass them. Mayor Hawkins says while the group has been largely peaceful, there's now no clear purpose for them to still be there. One of Southland's most famous nurses is calling for better pay and conditions for nurses in this country. Nurse Jenny McGee is credited with helping save the life of UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson when he spent time in intensive care with COVID-19. She's back home for a short break and was a special guest last night at an event in Wyndham.
Nurse Jenny McGee made headlines globally in 2020 as one of the nurses who UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson credits with saving his life while he was battling COVID-19 in ICU.
They're Jenny from New Zealand, Invercargill on the South Island to be exact, and Luis from Portugal near Porto.
She's returned home to New Zealand for a break to see family and friends, but is imploring the public to get behind better paying conditions for nurses.
It's made me realise I need to do what I love and stop doing what I don't love. My life has changed considerably from 2 years ago. I'm doing something completely different, but I'm now doing things that I love.
The former Southlander was a guest speaker last night at a Wyndham Pioneer Lions Club fundraiser for St John, held at her old school, Menzies College. There was a lot of interest in her work during the COVID-19 pandemic. McGee sharing her motivations for becoming a nurse.
I wanted to travel, and my older brothers were travelling and they were having a great time, and so all I really wanted to do was go to Dunedin and go and travel, and my mum said, why don't you become a nurse?
She believes nurses are the backbone of any healthcare organisation and says they're the foot soldiers of the pandemic. McGee is immunised and despite working in the trenches in the fight against COVID-19, says she hasn't contracted the virus, not even during the early days when there were no vaccines and nurses were working 12-hour shifts.
No, I've never had COVID, which is crazy, and neither has my partner, which is also crazy.
She's currently taking a well-earned break from the profession, but plans to return to her partner in London. McGee says nursing is one of the most trusted professions, and New Zealand has a nursing crisis, with pay rates for experienced staff failing to keep up with the cost of living. In Wyndham, the South Today.
Wakatipu residents woke to a sparkling morning this morning with clear skies and the first dusting of winter snow. Ski fields near Queenstown got a taste of early snow, the falls following on from a cold front that moved across the country last night. It's still a few months until the ski fields open for guests, but operators are excited to see snowfall in early April. Central Otago residents can expect a chilly few days before the weather warms up, with things set to be relatively fine over the weekend. Student nurses from Otago Polytech are offering to help out southern hospitals if they get overwhelmed with COVID-19 patients. While hospitals are coping with current patient numbers, there are plans in place if they need extra help from nursing students who are still studying.
Making themselves available if COVID-19 cases scale up. These third-year nursing students from Otago Polytechnic are among a group of about 40 offering their services to the southern DHB if the COVID-19 pandemic causes a critical nursing shortage in the south.
I mean, being third year, we do have 2 years of kind of placement experience behind us, and I know myself and a lot of the other nurses have kind of casual employment in the hospital and in rest homes where we kind of have a bit of experience with moving and handling patients.
If southern hospitals do become overwhelmed, the students will be employed as healthcare assistants to wash patients, mobilise them and provide basic care. For the students, it'll be an opportunity to see what healthcare is like during times of crisis.
Definitely good for the nursing students to get an insight into what it's really like and the pressures of working in a hospital in a pandemic.
The group say offering to help out during a health crisis is also a good chance to give back to the community.
We want to get out there, we want to go and help the government, the DHBs.
You naturally want to try to help. So yeah, I think putting your hand up is kind of a good feeling.
The Otago Polytechnic has been working on the initiative with the Southern District Health Board during the pandemic, which echoes a similar scheme in Canterbury. In Dunedin, the South Today.
E whāki nei, still to come on the South Today. The roar of engines return to Otago this weekend, and a case of COVID-19 closes a hospital ward in Southland.
Hear ye, hear ye. My mate John's declared himself the king of Stafford Street. His first order of business, banish high prices. Get down to the kingdom of John this weekend. There's 30% off bookcases and buffets, 33% off selected lounge, 15% off sofa beds and chaises, and 50% off outdoor furniture.
Where did you get that furniture from? Stafford Street. And my mate John.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Hi, we're Age Concern Otago.
Age Concern Otago hosts a multitude of social activities, including little walks.
Every day the team at Gillian supports grieving families at their time of need, from answering your questions to organising a farewell that reflects the wishes of your loved one. We can help. Call Gillian's today.
Spark your joy with jazz, the next generation from Honda.
Hi there, guess who? You recognise the eyes? Oh, okay, it's a haircut. Anyway, it's Lindsay here from Alex Campbell Menswear. Our 3 stores are carrying on as usual. Despite what's happening in the world, we have got some great stock for you. Personally, I've spent 50 years in this business and we have some excellent supplier relationships. We've got great stock, it's hand-picked, it's here, it's on time, and it's ready for this great summer.
Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
So, as my favourite cut says, keep calm and carry on.
A celebrity has just arrived. His name is Sirocco, and he's an important member of the government. The ambassador is chauffeur-driven. It's a 60-minute drive to his 5-star high-security accommodation, where he can finally drop his guard. Meet His Excellency. Not human, but parrot.
Welcome back. A ward at Southland Hospital has been closed today after several patients have tested positive for COVID-19. The Southern District Health Board confirmed the cases this afternoon. The ward was closed to visitors and admissions after patients in the assessment, treatment and rehabilitation ward were discovered to be COVID positive. The DHB says the origin of the infection is unknown and currently is under investigation. All ward staff are undertaking rapid antigen tests before each shift, while patients on the ward will undergo PCR testing. The Otago Rally is revving up ahead of the weekend, starting with a traditional Friday night launch at Dunedin's Octagon. Otago Daily Times reporter Wyatt Ryder got to ride along with seasoned driver Rana Horan as the North Island driver tested his car on southern soil.
Shaken and stirred. This footage is from the portable camera held by ODT reporter Wyatt Ryder as he experienced a hot lap with Auckland-based driver Rana Horan ahead of the Otago Rally. It was the first time in a rally car for Ryder, who seemed just pleased to be alive after getting out of the souped-up Skoda.
God, it's so terrifying. Yes, I would happily do it again, but I feel like I'd wait a while until I forgot what it felt like.
But Horan and Ryder were all smiles after the run. The reporter was originally going to be riding alongside Olympian Hamish Bond, who's turning his talents from 2 wheels to 4, but a tight culvert on a practice run ended his session early.
It was going well until a culvert got a bit too close to my front left wheel and hit that a little bit too hard and bent something or broke something. So yeah, unfortunately the mechanics now have some work to do, and unfortunately I can't help them because I don't know much about cars.
Another sportsman changing codes, albeit more slightly, is 2 times D1 NZ drifting champion Fanger Dan Woolhouse. He last drove in Dunedin in 2016 at Forsyth Bar Stadium at a D1 NZ drifting event and has changed that souped-up former police car for a Ford BDA Escort. He admits this style of driving is a bit different.
Yeah, completely different service, obviously, but you know, the car's well set up. It's got a lot of drive, and it's a very nimble little car. So when I get into these positions that I don't really want to be in, it really handles well, and I can pull out of them.
Rally organisers are looking forward to the event, which has got the green light during COVID red light settings.
Look, in our national championship, it's probably the most competitive national championship field we've had as long as I can remember. And it's a Rally New Zealand World Championship year this year, and that might be part of it, but it's super high class.
Rally Otago is the first event on the New Zealand Rally calendar, getting underway with the Octagon launch from 5 p.m. Friday. In Dunedin, the South Today.
In today's Global Insight, Professor Robert Patman continues his look at international affairs.
As the Russian invasion of Ukraine enters its 6th week, the elephant in the room is China. Welcome, Robert.
Morena, Bruce.
Russia seems to be slowly but surely losing this war.
Yeah.
But it does have a long-time ally in China. What does China mean to Russia in this conflict?
I think a great deal. I think it was no coincidence, as the Russians like to say, that Mr. Putin made a personal trip to Beijing just before the invasion. He was ostensibly there to attend the Olympics, but he had a private meeting with the Chinese leadership. And we also know that the Chinese launched a major cyber attack on Ukraine, targeting its nuclear and military facilities just on the 22nd, 23rd of February, which was just one day before the 24th when the invasion was launched.
So has China named itself as an ally of Russia, or how is China managing its relationship with Russia?
Well, I think China has been pro-Russian since the beginning of the crisis. Like Russia, it's refused to call it an invasion. It also shares Moscow's view that NATO expansion is the root of the crisis, and it believes that Russia is defending its legitimate interests in Ukraine. So in a sense, at least rhetorically, it's a pro-Russian position. And that, of course, has led to warnings from the American administration, the Biden administration, that China should be very wary of providing more than rhetorical support for Moscow.
So how do you think China will manage this?
I think with considerable difficulty. In a sense, from the Chinese point of view, it was always nice to have a wedge between the EU and the United States. Well, since Russia has invaded Ukraine, that wedge has disappeared because the EU and the United States seem to be more united than they've been for years, and NATO seems to be really united. And so, in a sense, from China's point of view, Russia's actions has not actually, it's probably exacerbated the American threat through Chinese eyes rather than it improved it. At the same time, I think China will be very worried if Mr. Putin is militarily defeated in Ukraine. In short, Mr. Putin has presented China with a problem that they probably would rather not have, because it seems either way it's not a good outcome for China.
Thank you, Robert. And thank you for watching. Catch us next time on Global Insight. Ka kite anō.
And you can watch the full interview with Professor Patman online at odt.co.nz. E whai aki nei, still to come on the South today. The Highlanders fighting hard to get off the bottom of the table in the next Super Rugby Pacific clash, and all your latest weather details.
Drama, competition,
rivalry, marketing,
numbers,
atmosphere, power,
fight, attack,
intuition,
love, hate,
money,
cash,
millionaires,
fans,
and fans.
Oh boy.
season, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
MTF Finance can help you turn the key on your next vehicle with a loan made just for you. TCs and lending criteria apply.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Living Well Disability Resource Centre, a not-for-profit charitable organisation and your one-stop shop for information and resources to help you retain independence. We offer a wide range of assistive products from jar openers to mobility scooters and provide assessments for Total Mobility, the half-price taxi scheme. Come and see the friendly team. You'll find us on the corner of George and Bath Streets, ground floor of Burns House.
Welcome back. Highlanders coach Tony Brown has made a few tweaks to the lineup for this Friday's bottom of the table game against Moana Pacifica in Dunedin. The side pushed the Crusaders hard in Christchurch last week, but ultimately lost the match 17 points to 14.
Back training at Forsyth Bar Stadium, but still looking for their first win. While the Highlanders showed some promising signs in their clash with the Crusaders last weekend, it was their 6th consecutive loss and has left the campaign teetering. Assistant coach Clark Dermody says they'd still like to try and make the top 8 playoffs as they prepare to face Moana Pacifica on Friday night.
We've got an idea of where we need to get to, but we've just got to start playing well and executing. We feel like we've turned a corner in the last couple of games, but still not quite finishing tries off. So once that happens and we start winning, then we can start worrying about where we are on the leaderboard.
Former England international Denny Solomona joined the Highlanders last month as an extra boost. The winger says head coach Tony Brown is keen for the 28-year-old to share his experience.
He just said to offer whatever I've got to offer, whatever I've learned throughout the years over in Northern Hemisphere and in England camps. Just because as we've got a pretty young crew here, if I've got any knowledge that I can pass on to him, then do so.
It's a big milestone for Gareth Evans, the loose forward set to mark his 50th Super Rugby game for the Highlanders on Friday night. In Dunedin, the South Today.
And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South Today. National Party leader Christopher Luxon was in Queenstown today talking tourism issues, business revival and more flexibility around working holidays. Invercargill's nurse Jenny has made a visit to her old school in Wyndham telling an audience she believes nurses here are undervalued. And Otago Polytech nursing students are offering to step in to assist at Southern hospitals if COVID-19 patients overwhelm the local health system. And now a look at what's happening in tomorrow's ODT. We welcome in Debbie Porteous. Kia ora, Debbie.
Kia ora. Thank you.
What's going on in tomorrow's ODT?
Well, tomorrow we're going to have a closer look at what's next for those the people camping in the Octagon, the protesters. So they've been given till Monday to evacuate. Basically, they've been given a trespass notice, but we'll just take a bit of a closer look at what might happen between now and then. We're also having another look at COVID. Obviously, there have been 3 people have died, unfortunately, in the past 24 hours in the south. So we'll have a closer look at that, as well as our rate. We're currently the second highest area, the area with the second highest rate of infection in the country. So it's still swirling around madly down here. And Southland Hospital has had to close down one of its big wards just with an infection around the ward down there. So there's still plenty happening on the COVID front. And in Southland as well, they've had a visit from Agriculture Minister Damien O'Connor today, who's gone down to check out the drought situation with them and cheer people up a bit, I think.
Yeah.
They had a bit of rain overnight last night, but it's nowhere near as much as they need. So.
We'll need a bit more soon, eh?
Yes. Yes. So.
Wonderful. Nice to see you, Debbie. Thank you very
you.
much. And now checking out our latest weather details.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by MoleMap.
A ridge of high pressure from the Tasman Sea will spread over the South Island on Saturday. That means the cold southwesterly airflow will start dying out and mostly a fine weekend in store. For Greymouth, mostly cloudy tomorrow with a few showers and fresh southwesterlies, looking for a high of 18 degrees and a low of 9 degrees. Warm and fine at the tip of the South Island for Nelson, light southwesterlies, a high tomorrow of 21 and a low of 8 degrees. Chilly night tonight for Christchurch, fine day ahead tomorrow though with light westerlies, cloud developing in the evening with a southwest change, strong winds around Banks Peninsula, and a high of 19 degrees and a low of 9. Heading inland now to our southern towns. Along the coast, the Catlins can expect strong southwesterlies with a few showers and a high of 13 degrees. Further inland at Balclutha and Lumsden and Gore, there'll be fresh southwesterlies with some high cloud and also a high of just 13 degrees. Heading west now, inland towards the Central Lakes area, Wanaka, Queenstown and Alexandra can all expect fine weather with moderate southwesterlies and a high of 14 degrees. In Te Anau, there'll be fresh southwesterlies with some cloud and a high of 13 degrees. Looking at our northern towns now, Timaru can expect fine weather with moderate southwesterlies and a high of 15 degrees. Oamaru is in for fresh southwesterlies with some cloud and a high of 14 degrees. Further inland, Twizel and Normanama can look forward to fine weather with moderate southwesterlies and a high of 15 degrees. For Dunedin, it'll be fine and cold tonight with moderate southwesterlies and an overnight low of 8 degrees. It'll be mostly cloudy tomorrow with a few sunny periods possible during the morning, but there also may be a few scattered light showers around the coast in the middle of the day. There'll be moderate southwesterlies at first, but a period of strong cold winds at lunchtime and easing only from evening. A high of 14 and a low of 6 degrees. Sunny periods and scattered cloud along Saturday with some moderate cool southwest winds and a high of 15 degrees and a low of 5 degrees. For Invercargill, showers developing later tonight with strong cold southwesterlies and an overnight low of 5 degrees. Showers at first tomorrow with cold gusty southwest winds again for a time, but the weather will start clearing later in the day with winds decreasing. A high of 12 and a low of 4. Fine on Saturday with sunny periods, some cloud, cool southwesterlies and a high of 14 and a low of 5 degrees. That's the news for this Thursday. For the latest news and videos from the southern region, head online to odt.co.nz and you can follow Channel 39 on YouTube to catch our news bulletins on demand. No reira, kia pai te po, ka ki te ano.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Public interest journalism funded through New Zealand On Air.